Hey everybody, in this episode of Box Office Breakdown, the king knocks the prince off the top of the box office. We're going to break down this weekend's box office results next.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Oh, hey, wow. Play golf claps. Bring us into this episode of Box Office Breakdown.
That's how we do.
Great
That's
intro.
right. Oh, thanks, Amy. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. And thanks so much for joining us. I know we were off last weekend for Memorial Day, so we are back, and thank you for joining us. But this is, as always, is the show where we look back at the box office that was, and then we...
Prague.
Mouse.
Day.
Kate.
Done.
There you go. All business here today about the box office that lie ahead. I am Frank Moran.
What's up? Kari Lane here.
I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez.
And making us look good and sound even better is Bree in the booth.
Hey, everybody.
And folks, I know you're probably seeing my face. You go, like, this is way, way up close and more focused look at your face than we've ever seen, Frank, and it's almost uncomfortable. We're in HD in this studio. Look at this. So you might want to, just anytime it cuts to me, just put a little blanket or something over the monitor.
Stop.
But as always, folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and of course, give it a thumbs up while you're there, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, however many you can do. And we've got the chat running. So make sure you hop in, share your thoughts, and Kari, if they're watching after we stream live, what can they do?
Yes, Frank. You all can comment down below.
Oh, yes. So we're going to break down our top 5, do a box office bet. We're also going to do our top 3 X-Men films. We'll each kind of say our top 3. So start putting your 3 together as well, so you get a chance to share your thoughts at the end of the show and tell us what you think as well. And we'll do some real reviews. It's been a couple weeks. We've got Booksmart, Godzilla, Aladdin,
Rocket Man.
We're going to be doing all those kind of in-depth reviews at the end of the show as well. So any spoilers, you have a chance to duck out before we get into any specifics. But without any further ado, let's just jump into this past weekend's box office. Godzilla, King of the Monsters from Warner Brothers there, $49 million to take the number 1 spot.
It bit a chunk out of Aladdin's sales.
Whoa. Oh.
Oh, we're seeing where that sentence ended. All right. Okay.
You know.
Now, I've seen it, and
Yes.
Amy has seen it. Amy, what did you think? Okay. That's what Amy's thoughts about
Well,
Godzilla, King of the
I
Monsters.
do have to say, non-spoilers, Godzilla looks great.
Okay. Well, I guess you guys can
Frank?
read between the lines there. It's, you set your expectations for what you want out of a movie like that. And so it delivers. If you want a lot of monsters fighting monsters, then that delivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited to see it, though I'm not. I like Godzilla as a concept, and I like the other movies, but it was like, I don't know. Something about this one wasn't like, yes, I have to see it.
Did you like the first one? Came out a couple years back.
I even like the Matthew Broderick one from the
Aw,
way back when.
yeah.
Oh boy! All right.
But yeah, I did like the other one too. I felt that was a cool reboot of it, and like that was a neat way to bring it back and change it. Because like, I know people say bad things about the older one just because like, oh, it's cheesy or whatever. But it was a neat, like, I felt they made it a different version for when they brought it back. But this one, I don't know, something I was just like, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this one you start seeing them really trying to make a universe of
True.
it.
Yeah.
And we already knew going into this that Godzilla versus King Kong was something that's coming out next year, which it is, I believe in March of next year. So get ready for that big battle between those 2 titans of the planet there. So there's a little little setup in this film, just so they remind you, like, yeah, Kong's coming, everybody. Kong is coming.
Just like that.
That's right.
That's a cousin of Tarzan. You're welcome, guys.
There
Let's
you go.
move along.
But fortunately, and nobody, because the one thing that did bum me out about the first Godzilla film from a couple years back is that Bryan Cranston, the previews, I was so excited, like, hey, Bryan Cranston in a Godzilla movie, and then he's taken out so early in that movie, and it's such a kind of lame way. It's where he shot it off in a distance, and he just kind of falls in the scaffolding and stuff. I'm like, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was once he was gone from the film, which happened so early in the movie, I'm like, well, I've lost all my enthusiasm for watching the rest of this film.
Fair.
Because I'm going to see Bryan Cranston go up against Godzilla.
Well,
It doesn't happen.
it's advertising,
That's true.
Yeah.
And I was betrayed.
We
by
just
that.
talked about my other show, anime show, Madoka Magica. It's literally magical girl show, and a character does not become a magical girl until the last episode.
Oof.
I mean, it happens on other bits, but it's advertised like there's image of them, and you're like, Not yet?
No.
Not.
Wow.
All right. It's still a really good show, by the way.
But it is kind of a bummer when the advertising sets you up for
thinking
something.
it's going to be more, and then you go, why hasn't it happened yet? Did we miss an episode? You know? But.
Although sometimes, you know, we've seen this before in trailers, they just give you all the good stuff. And you're like, what the heck?
That with Always Be My Maybe, which I'll talk about. There was something in verses in the trailer in that they changed. I'm like, oh, I like the trailer dialogue better. But
Which is one that I've heard about Ma, is that what you see in the trailer
Yeah.
pretty much is what you're going to get in the film.
okay, that's why I didn't rush to see that one.
I want to see it, but dang it.
Well, just watch the trailer and then
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
Just like a dog's purpose and a dog's way home,
That's
a dog's
right.
Yeah.
journey.
Yep.
Coming in at number 2 was Aladdin, which came out last week, made another $42.3 million at the box office this past weekend. I know we've all... No, Amy refuses to see it because it steps on the feet of her childhood.
No.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say my birthday weekend, which it was, you know, trying to steal my thunder.
And you didn't want to go to it for your birthday?
No, I went to see Booksmart instead Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I do want to see it. I've heard great things.
Carrie, is she right to think that those are great things that are being said about Aladdin?
I enjoyed it. Some of the changes make sense of making it more realistic, and some of them are like, oh, well, I like that in the other one. So it's like
The original.
yeah, the actual original, the OG version. So, but some of those you're going to go, okay. I mean, they're not necessarily like super plot important, but it's those little moments you're like, oh, that was fun. The songs are, it's that weird thing when someone does a cover of a song where it's just a little bit different. So some of them I dug it, and like the orchestral sound of it was just like, oh, like get goosebumps, and the music's so good. And then like how some of the tempo change, go, oh, yeah. Like when they come up to the palace and how that beat stops and then drops again, I kind of liked it, even though it was different. But I liked it because it was different. So there are moments like that too where you go, or you're still kind of thinking later, ooh, how do I feel about that?
Yeah, you're unsure.
But it wasn't quite, ooh, no, I hate it.
Yeah.
I like Jasmine gets her own song and gives it a little bit more, not necessarily she's lonely, but she's speechless, the name of the song.
I did not enjoy that song.
Really?
I mean, I was all down for her to have a song, and which I heard that she was going to have one. I'm like, all right,
But
cool.
with the reprise?
Meh.
Oh, I like that.
Meh.
I liked what they changed up with the genie. That was kind of, he felt like a more of a regular person.
like,
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's the biggest comparison, Robin Williams versus Will Smith.
They're very different, but the genie, they kind of more humanized him because he was in human form so much more so. But then it was kind of fun of like how he talked to Aladdin. It was like as if he was more of a friend. Like, okay, dude, go talk to her. Like, come on. Like, things like that I enjoyed. And I would say overall it was very cool, visually great and stunning. But yeah, there's some things. And then way back when, do you guys remember controversy? Because there was brown facing of their background actors. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
I didn't know that.
Like, if you go look it up, I was looking up, there's some stories, and then they said, yeah. Disney kind of goes, oops, our bad.
Oops.
Yeah. So there's those kind of issues where that always is hard of, like, the outside of a movie when you know something's going on. So I was like, okay.
There is, because Will Smith, if you listen to his music,
Yeah.
Millennium and stuff, it's, like in that kind of style of song, music that he sings, great, very energetic, very lively. But there's something about him singing Disney songs that I just felt it lacked that, I want to say like that showmanship, that kind of energy that Robin Williams brought to those songs when he sang them. So listening and watching Will Smith sing it, you're just like, okay, all right. It just didn't quite give
Didn't
you
pack that
oomph.
punch.
It doesn't.
I feel like
True.
Will Smith's music is like grounded. Like, like Disney music is just up here and light and fluffy. And even like the scarier songs are still not as rooted. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's more grandiose kind of a thing. And his vocals are more like, not quite as.
Wild Wild West.
Yeah. And we're making
Can't sing
gestures with our
anymore.
hands for the people listening.
Yeah, which is always great.
I'm like,
Yeah, we'll save a few more thoughts to the end of the show.
Well, then a couple people in chat. We got Neela J said, I saw Aladdin last week. I went in with low expectations and enjoyed it. I was smiling all the way through the movie. NCH3S. Aladdin was good, made my youngest daughter cry in a good way or like
She was
scared or didn't
she's
like it. Yusuf said Aladdin is awesome.
It is better than Beauty and the Beast.
Yes, I do think it's better than Beauty and the Beast. I do think they brought some newer things to it, the way like Cinderella brought some new things, but I think Cinderella had a better like, here's backstory and a character we didn't get information on. But we had a little more context, like why the Sultan keeps Jasmine more locked up in the palace. So like they kind of get into like, did you feel the mom was assassinated? Or I felt that's the tone I got from it.
Whoa.
I don't know if I never really thought about that, or she was ill and she died. I don't know. I didn't.
Well, because Aladdin goes, that wasn't our fault, referring to the people of the town.
Oh.
So let me know, because that's what I heard. Because they do this thing, she's talking with him, and she's pretending that she's not the princess, and says, like, the queen died. And then he says a line, something of, like, well, that wasn't our fault, referring, like, to the people of the village. So then I'm like, was she assassinated while she was out in public? And that's why they're like, right? I thought that, but that could be more interesting.
True, or it could be interpreted that
Or there's an accident.
Why did we didn't kill the queen? So why is the princess
true.
not coming out and see? We didn't have anything to do with the queen dying. So why is she staying away from us?
Yeah.
Perhaps. I don't know which interpretation.
I felt it was very not specific, but I like that they said something about it, because in the other one you're like, well, where's classic Disney? Where's the other parent?
That's true.
You know.
Oh, have we sold you on seeing the movie, Amy?
Right? I don't know if we're making it better.
I don't know.
You're leaving
guys
right
did
from here
of
directly to
course.
the theater.
Neela J agrees with me. Like the beat stopping during the Prince Ali song with the genie Aladdin. When they first get to balance, Prince Ali. So they changed that beat a little bit, which was pretty cool. I did like that.
There is a bit where you see a little bit of the Will Smith come out in Friend Like Me.
Yeah.
Where at the end it gets into a little bit of the kind of high energy kind of stuff.
Did you like that they didn't quite do the pop cultural references?
Yeah.
I thought that was a good way to update it, because even now, if you watch the 90s one, the pop culture references, there'd be plenty of people today who'd be like, I don't know who that's referencing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like watching those old Bugs Bunny cartoons.
True.
Where they're referencing some celebrities, you don't know exactly the context. But for me, at least, watching those, it was like, oh, well, let me find out more about these people so I understand who they're referencing. Maybe that's how Aladdin is to kids these days.
Could be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true,
That's
though.
true.
Yeah.
Coming in number 3, Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic, whatever you want to call it.
If you want to be fancy,
I want to just call it biopic.
Well, maybe one is referring to how historically accurate it is, and the other is more historical fiction of it.
No.
No? No.
This is from Paramount, $25 million here this weekend. I did get a chance to see it.
Okay.
It's an interesting film.
Okay.
Because it's his life story of sorts. It's not, but there's a lot of a musicale kind of thing, not just musical or in terms of the lyrics of the songs, but a musical kind of presentation to the songs that are in there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
In comparison to like Bohemian Rhapsody, did you feel it was a similar tone of like history and then throw the music in too?
Well, no, because they'll use some of the songs from Elton John will be used and they'll be presented in almost like a musical type of form.
Okay, cool.
Which I thought was an interesting choice to kind of do it that way. I mean, I guess they say a cliche is a cliche because it's true. So there are some things that if compared to the Queen biopic, there's, I guess, with music, managers, things like this, there's just things that I guess happen to a lot of different musicians when they start making their big break, and people might take advantage of some things out of them. This one, there's a lot of difference between how Freddie Mercury and Elton John in terms of their homosexuality and how that's depicted and how it was really held against Freddie Mercury, or else he felt very ashamed of it, culturally and whatnot. And it wasn't as big a deal or at least in the film, it doesn't make a big deal with Elton John. It was just like this was his life choice, and nobody was like, "Well, you're never gonna make it, Elton." So, interesting movie. I don't know if I loved it or not, but I mean, I thought it was just an interesting way to present a biopic about a musician.
Cool.
Coming in at number 4, Ma, the new Blumhouse film from Universal, $18.2 million, starring Octavia Spencer. I have to admit, I was intrigued about seeing it just from the trailers, but then hearing that the trailers gives you the film, I'm like, all right, I can wait.
I felt they gave away way too much because I was starting to be interested, and then all the trailers go, oh, I feel I've seen the movie. I would have rather them leave more to mystery on that.
I still want to see it. It's just one of those things. I don't know why, but at the end of May, like everything came out. And it was just not even, we got Disney movies, we got a horror movie, we got, an indie kind of movie. Like, it was a lot. So you kind of had to pick and choose. Mm-hmm. I didn't pick that one.
Well, I mean, you've still got June, July, and, most of August.
I mean, I don't know how much longer Mob will be in there. I don't know. I want it to be there long enough for more people to see it.
And rounding out our top 5, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum. That made another $11.1 million.
Pretty good.
Yeah, not so bad there. Of course, we know the fourth film's already greenlit. And this is the first week. I believe that Avengers Endgame did not make the top 5. It's going to be okay, Amy. It's still going to be okay.
I'm sad.
It's still going over like $830 million. So it's doing okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be all right.
All right, thank you.
Now, we did do our box office bet 2 weeks ago. We were
don't
gone
need to talk about that
we
one.
were gone for Memorial Day weekend, so we never really got to bask in who won and, who lost. But that's what a time like this is for here. So for those of you that need a little reminder, we did the box office bet on Aladdin, that great Disney live-action adaptation of their animated classic. So the winner for that was me.
Wow.
$88 million. It made almost $120 million its opening weekend. So I fell a little short, but still was enough to get me the win. Coming in number 2 was Brie with $72 million. Kari number 3 at $56 million. And then just, taking that elevator right down to Loser Town. Was Amy Cassandra?
No.
Amy Cassandra Martinez.
No.
$50 million.
You gave me the music? No.
She got the sad trombone on that one.
Yeah, all right. I'll see it. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Amy. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
But folks, we're going to do another box office bet at the end of the show as well, too. So that never stops because it's so much fun to do. And I'm on a hot streak. I'm getting almost cocky.
I mean, calm down.
I know. I'm due for a humbling at any moment. But we have 2 films coming out for your box office votes there. Dark Phoenix, the last of the Fox version of the X-Men films. Well, we'll see what happens with New Mutants next year. But at least sort of the X-Men films coming out this week, as well as Secret Life of Pets 2, the sequel that nobody asked for, but we're still getting from Universal Pictures. Can't wait. So those are the 2 films. So start voting now there in the chat, and we'll do our box office bet in just a little bit. But before that, folks, we're talking about X-Men. Folks, this is a great time to actually do a little special segment we're going to do. The X-Men films have been around since the early 2000s here, and there's been so many of them. But I feel like this is something that requires us to give our personal opinions about what our top 3 X-Men films are. So, we've got, of course, we've got original X-Men film directed by Bryan Singer, as well as X2, directed by Bryan Singer. We've got X-Men: The Last Stand, directed by Brett Ratner. Let's see about that. There we go. Then we've got our Wolverine films. We've got Wolverine Origins. We've got the Wolverine, as well as we got Logan. Then we have our 2 Deadpool films, Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2. And then we've got our last 4 that are bringing us for the X-Men film. We've got X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and then coming out this week, Dark Phoenix.
That was great, Frank.
Oh my gosh,
yes. Who needs IMDb when
Holy
you've got
cow.
it, Frank?
It's almost like I'm a nerd. I know this stuff. Almost. There you go. So, folks, everybody's got their opinions there. Please, everybody.
I mean,
There you
it's going to get cocky. Okay.
But we're only going to pick our top 3. Each of us going to go kind of rapid fire what we think our top 3 X-Men films are out of that long list. You see if you agree with any of the ones that we have listed. If you have a different list, feel free to start putting that down in the comment thread as well. So, Amy, I know you've been boning up on your X-Men films. So,
I got it.
For you, what are your top 3 X-Men films?
Okay, I'll start with number 3.
Okay.
Deadpool 2. Do you want me to say something?
If you want.
Sure.
It's cool. It's not as good as the second one that I have. Deadpool, the first one.
Okay.
That's not what it's called, but the first one. Yeah, I really like the first one because we really get an introduction to Deadpool in like a better way. And Ryan Reynolds just did a really good job, and he looks really, really good. And it's completely different than all the other Marvel properties. Yeah, and then the first one would have to be Logan because I don't know. There's something about seeing Hugh Jackman in kind of like a pretty dark role, but having to act opposite a young girl and having that kind of juxtaposition. It was really cool. I had a fun time.
I felt the thing that what I loved was that they kind of just mapped the Western genre onto Logan. But the only thing that frustrated me about that is that they finally clicked in to a great Logan story, and it's the last one.
Tears were shed.
It makes you want to just like wish this had been back in time and they had kind of figured out this formula and this recipe right when Wolverine Origins was coming out, and we've got Will.i.am as a teleporter. You're like, oh man, really? This is what we get? Okay. But no, great list, Amy.
Thank you.
Carrie?
Yeah, this was interesting to think about. I'd go with, starting with number 3, I'll go with X-Men First Class. I really enjoyed seeing a different batch of mutants as well as seeing them when they were younger. I thought that was kind of fun to see just more options out there. So I thought that was really cool. Then I would go with the original X-Men, if only because it was such a big deal when it came out, because it was the first one. I remember specifically having a magazine clip out for it coming out. I remember the date it was coming out. I was so excited because I was into comic books, and I actually was very frustrated because they changed the look of a lot of the characters, and I was like the little nerd of like, oh my gosh, is that what their hair looks like? Man, like upset about it. But then I was like, this is really cool. I do think they totally did no justice to Rogue though, because she was so like in the movie versus how cool she is in the comics and in the cartoon. But I still was happy that they finally had made a mutant movie of that epic proportions, and at least they made jokes to it because they're like, oh, would you have rather us wear the yellow spandex? I was like, okay, you made a nod to it. And then I go with Deadpool for number 1 because then it takes that ultra violence and fun to the next level, because all ages read comic books, especially those that are older. So it's like, hey, put that craziness in it. That's what we want. So I was glad that they didn't shy away. We're like, no, we're going to make a rated R one. So, yes.
There's something about that first X-Men film that it's, and I guess we have to go back to the early 2000s when superhero films weren't as prevalent.
Yeah, there was like none.
We had Blade. That was pretty much it. And then we get the X-Men films, and then we get Spider-Man coming out after that. But it was really X-Men that kind of really started that off. And it was like better than nothing, but still left you kind of frustrated.
But you were at least like, it was a groundbreaking ceremony. You're like, oh, they did something. Like that was kind of the first of like, okay, got that ball rolling of so many more thereafter. And then yes, I would agree, Ryan Reynolds is just awesome. Yeah. But yeah, that was interesting of like, I don't think there was many others at that time to compare it to. So it was just, you're happy something was out there.
Yeah, I feel like the X-Men have been, just in general, have been an example of putting too many ingredients in the mix, because I feel like they want to keep loading all these characters and they don't have enough film real estate to really do service to a lot of these characters, and it ends up really being basically Hugh Jackman and Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen for the first set. Those really become the 3 that it kind of revolves around. And I mean, because they're fantastic actors and they really broke out in those roles, but everybody else kind of gets shunted to the side. And even like Famke Janssen, who, you really want to see this great turn in X-Men Last Stand, is not given the material. She's a great actress, but is not given the material to really deliver on the Phoenix storyline. So I'm hoping that when this Dark Phoenix comes out, my hopes are not very high, because I don't think it's going to be good.
What are your 3, Frank?
I'm going to go my 3. I will go. I guess I'll go Deadpool, because it was just nice to see. And I'm not a huge fan of Deadpool in the comic. A little of him goes a long way for me.
Sure.
But there's something about seeing it in live action with the kind of irreverence that Ryan Reynolds brought into it. And certainly you could see the passion for wanting to bring that character. And I felt that passion combined with the material and with the actor really made for a fun, enjoyable film that you hadn't seen in a lot of the other X-Men ones. It got a little too like, meh. So I'll put that as 3. 2, Days of Future Past, because I'm a sucker for time travel. And even though this story is not as good as the comic book story by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, it's still it was cool seeing the newer generation of the cast meet the original generation. So to see James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart share that moment, you're like on screen, you're like, that was cool. And seeing Hugh Jackman interact with Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy as well, you're like, all right, this is cool to see those kind of worlds kind of mix. And then number 1, I'm going to go with you, Amy. I'm going to agree with Logan, because it was. It just showed you kind of what the Marvel films have been doing from Marvel Studios, where they've been taking specific genres and kind of layering them on their stories.
Yeah.
finally seeing Fox getting their act together and kind of treating it that same way as well. And it was just great to see. I mean, Hugh Jackman is great in that role, and it was just awesome to see a movie that finally kind of gave him the material to really do service to both him as an actor and the character.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are our various top threes. Do you agree with our list? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments, folks. Fight us or love us, whatever you want to do.
Whatever.
Nice.
All right, so folks, we're getting ready for our box office bet. But before we got to do that, though, we got to do our top 5 for next week to kind of figure out what we kind of think. So
And we also got to cover the other movies that weren't part of the top 5.
Booksmart.
Oh, we're gonna wait till we go to the spoilers.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
ASMR, okay.
Yeah. All right, there we're gonna go. So yes, we're gonna do our next week's top 5. We got Dark Phoenix come from Fox on 3,500 screens, as well as The Secret Life of Pets 2 from Universal on 4,400 screens. Do we see either of them dethroning not King Kong? That's gonna happen next year. Godzilla.
Okay, so if Godzilla even drops half, that's 25. So
Yes.
do we see it? Dark Phoenix. I feel really bad for Dark Phoenix. A lot of people are already hating on it hard.
Yeah, sadly.
So would that even make it to 25?
I think they showed another trailer and it looked more intriguing the second time around. But
It could also be people going to see if it is actually as bad as they think it is. That happens.
Yep.
25.
You want to go watch that
million
car accident,
worth
you go, can't help but look.
I'm going to put this as number 1, Dark Phoenix.
Really?
Because
Okay.
I do think it may not be a great movie, but I agree with what Brie is saying, too. I think there's going to be enough nerds and X-Men fans that just want to see, do they stick the landing? Do they really botch the landing? How
Yeah.
bad do they botch the landing? That love it or hate it, you still want to just see what they've put on screen.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is also, like, Godzilla, not sure if it's getting good word of mouth. So even if it's at least 50, I think it's going to be more.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're right. I'll go with.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I almost think Pets could do pretty well too. Of like, we're getting into that summertime.
Oh,
Some kids are out of school already.
There's so many kids everywhere.
and it's family
They are,
friendly.
I swear.
What's with all these
Where are they
kids?
coming from?
And let's specify young family friendly, because Aladdin is all ages enough, but like Pets is way more for visually could be entertaining for the little kids.
Did either of you see the first film?
No.
No.
I saw it, and it's not great. So I'm still amazed that we're getting a second one for this. I mean,
I just
I'm like, oh, really?
They
Out of
just
this?
pump them out, man. Whether we ask
Yeah.
for them or not.
Well, yeah, I
just
mean,
happens.
they're doing a ride at Universal Studios based on it. Not going to be great, guys.
wow.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
it won't be.
It's all right.
How far do you see
Two.
Secret Life of Pets 2? Go number 2?
I'll go two.
All right.
Same.
I can't argue with that as much as I would love to. So we're saying Dark Phoenix, Secret Life of Pets 2, then the rest of the Godzilla, Aladdin, and Rocketman, kind of following down that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Folks, we're going to do our box office bet real quick here on the film that you voted on there in the chat. Of course, it's between Dark Phoenix and Secret Life of Pets 2. For those of you that haven't seen the box office bet, we are going to all vote on what we think the opening box office total will be for the film that you have chosen in the chat. The person that's closest will be like me and bask in glory because you're such a prognosticator. And then the loser will be just like Amy, Cassandra, Martinez over there. Have to go see this film and then tell us all about it. So how's it looking in the chat, Kari?
Where'd it go? Some people are suggesting 4 Pets too. Hold on. Let's see.
Let's take a recount.
Where's our
Yes.
top count on that? There's a lot of people talking about our X-Men selections. Where's our... I'm not seeing it yet. Someone give us the tally.
Yes.
What you all
Or
vote
we
for.
can choose.
Looks
Yeah.
like to me that it was Dark Phoenix.
Oh,
Thank you.
goodness.
I
Thank you.
agree.
We're going to
Yeah.
go with that.
Dark Phoenix, thank you, Ken Jack. There we go. Dark Phoenix won 4-1.
Ken Jack! Yes!
Always so scared. I try not to like show my emotions about movies.
And you're like, not
That's it.
anymore.
That's
All
it.
right. So there we go with Dark Phoenix
And we
on
said it's all
3,500
number one,
screens.
so, yeah.
Yes. Their second attempt at the Dark Phoenix story. We'll see how they do. All right. So we're all going to do our votes. Brie, are you ready to join us for this?
Yeah, I'll join in.
That's what we like to hear. All right.
Oh man.
So we got Brie, Amy, Kari, and myself. This is going to be great. having the conclusion of this storyline here.
Oh my god, I've never hesitated so much on putting a number.
All right. I will put in... All right. I've got a number. Oh, but man, Secret Life Pets 2 could be... Oh, but it's...
Oh my god.
All right. I'm going to... Okay, I'm changing. Okay, I'm good to go. Bree, you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, look at that confidence. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
All right, Bree, what do you have?
I'm gonna say 46.
Oof, all right. Not much confidence in our merry band of mutants. All right.
Wait, I don't know. Amy, is that face if you went too high or too low to that?
Bree's got 46.
You know, I think I have to leave. I think I have something going on.
You need to go check on your
Amy,
car.
Let's see what you got.
The parking.
What do you got? Lay it on us, Amy Cassandra Martinez. 29? Are you serious?
Yes!
What?
Because there's so many different movies. Who is all gonna rush out to go see Dark Phoenix?
Oh, my goodness.
I'm done.
Wow.
I'm-
29? Oh, well, all right.
You know, if it does hit 29, you guys are gonna be like, wow, Amy, oh my gosh. In the
Okay.
meantime, I'm panicking.
Carrie?
People need Sansa.
37.
Game of Thrones is done.
37. Man, everybody's going really low on this. All right.
Conservative.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Jenna James in the
overestimated.
chat says 70.
Well, Jenna, I'm around you. I went 78. So we'll see. I could be really high on this.
Wow.
Ooh.
Jenna is laughing at Amy's number.
Thank you.
29.
Patrick said 25.
Hey!
Neil Hutchinson says 53.5.
Interesting.
I was gonna do 33.
I feel these numbers are like
still.
Oh, okay. Well, folks, this is gonna be an exciting weekend at the box office here. Look at that. Amy, get excited. Get excited. Get ready to see Dark Phoenix.
You get ready to see Dark Phoenix.
All right.
Okay.
I think
Folks,
I'm still planning to see it. Anyway.
we're gonna wrap the part of the show here. Now we got a few minutes here. We're gonna talk about some films a little bit more in depth. So if you don't want to be spoiled about any of the latest releases, hop out now. But folks, thanks for joining us here. As always, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many you can. And if you're watching this after a stream live, Carrie, what can they do?
Yes, you can comment down below. And since we talked about top X-Men movies, why don't you leave your comments on 1, 2, and 3 of your favorite X-Men movies?
Love it.
Favorite. Yeah.
And if you want to stay in touch with any of us after the show's over, Bree, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at Bree_Phipps, PHIPPS on Twitter and Instagram.
And you guys can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ.
And you can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE.
And follow me on those Twittergrams at HappyGoJackie. Folks, that's going to do it for this part of the show. Spoilers lie ahead, so let's do it.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Let's start off with a film that Kari Lane is excited to talk about, and that is Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah, because I'm giving mad love to them of it is, like, think about it, and sadly you probably won't have an answer. When was the last time you saw a romantic comedy with 2 Asian male leads?
Crazy Rich Asians.
Male leads.
No, like having, besides that one.
I was looking for that.
And then
trick
having
question.
the 2, and then, mostly, no, because they have a diverse cast. But there has not been many. You have 1. Right? And that was a big deal when that one came out. So I really enjoyed it. I think it is a good rom-com. The pacing's maybe a little slow because I think it's like an hour 45, and maybe if it was more like the hour 30, I wouldn't have felt that. I think there's a lot of humor in it. Keanu Reeves is in it, and he's very funny. Ali Wong is great. I think she's good sense of humor, and there were moments you're like, oh, I get that, and just life and relationships and that. So definitely check it out. Some people had it in theaters. I saw it on Netflix, but either way, support the movie because it was cool, and it's nice to have that kind of representation, because I know I saw some people like on Twitter and like they were crying because they were just so happy to see and that kind of relationships portrayed.
I just want to
Also-
see it for Keanu Reeves' gift that I keep seeing. going
Oh
around.
man,
That's
just
it.
wait. His dialogue's a little different from the trailer, and I liked what he said in the trailer better than what's said in the movie, but that's okay.
All All right. I know you want to talk about Booksmart.
Heck
Amy.
yes, I do.
Lay
That's
it on
right.
us.
I am so freaking glad I saw it when I saw it. It was so great. It was a wonderful experience. Everyone was laughing in the theater, including myself. The fact that Olivia Wilde created just such a wonderful, like, teen movie that isn't boring and isn't like, oh god, like it's trying too hard is great, because I think that a lot of teen movies go that way, or it gets way too raunchy or whatever, and it's literally just about these two characters and their friendship and then growing up and learning how to like step outside their comfort zone. And it's so good. The directing is so good. Everything about it is just perfection, and the soundtrack is fantastic. I listen to it every day. It's everything I wanted and so much more.
I enjoyed the movie, but there was one little bit that really bugged me.
What?
It's after they get out of jail and they're heading to the graduation.
Yeah.
The way they drive, that was just like, oh, what?
Well, okay, like, yeah, if that happened to me, which, I mean, like, I wouldn't go to jail, oh my gosh, but if I went to jail and I was trying to get to my high school graduation and I drove like that, a cop would pull me over. Like, no duh.
Yeah.
But it's a movie, Frank, and they had to get to the graduation, and then they go in there and just like, woo!
Well, of course they need to get to the
cop drive them to the graduation like that, and that probably would have maybe worked a little better. Like, oh, you helped us catch this guy.
Yeah.
Let's
True.
get you to your graduation.
But because you can drive super fast. I'm not against them driving super fast to get to the graduation.
Recklessly.
But why? And they're laughing the whole time that they're doing this. I'm like, why are you driving like weirdos?
Because they're excited and they're happy, and they were able to get away with it, and, like, the guy that...
So you're going to be driving through
You're like,
opposite lanes of
"Woohoo!"
traffic? Get outta
Their state of mind is like, we got to get to our graduation ceremony so we can finish this chapter in our lives and move on.
So
And
when
like,
you think
look
like, hey,
at
let's,
us, we grew up so much in just like a matter of like 2 days.
but let's
like a
drive
day.
let's drive fast, but let's drive smart.
A little bit furious, Fast and Furious.
That's
They're
right.
inspired by that movie.
Bree, you saw it as well. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The only scene I didn't like, and I didn't not enjoy the scene because I thought it was a really funny scene, but I think that it just didn't work as well for me, was the drug scene. Because it just happened too quickly and
yeah.
got out of it too quickly. It just felt like a forced, this is going to be funny. And I thought as standalone it was really funny, but that's the only scene that didn't quite work for me. Otherwise, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the acting was amazing. I thought the casting was amazing. The direction was amazing.
I love the script too. Like, I usually, the script is not something that stands out to me too much. I usually like pay attention to the acting more, but the script was so good. Where now I'm looking at all the GIFs that are on Twitter and like that, I love that quote, throwing in, yeah.
And real quick before we wrap up, I know you saw Godzilla.
Yeah.
You didn't seem very high on it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there is a certain kind of format when you're watching a movie about monsters. Yeah, like we get it. And it's slightly apocalyptic. But that doesn't mean it has to be super predictable. And then there's certain things that happen, full on spoilers. Okay.
Please, that's what this.
When Ken's character, Dr. something,
That can Watanabe.
Yes. When his character sacrifices himself for Godzilla, I was like, oh, that really sucks. Not super necessary, but like, I get it. But then when freaking Vera Farmiga's character does the same freaking thing at the end, I just got mad. And that's like, what, the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie?
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? We already did this. And then I think there's someone else that sacrifices himself. Oh, Mothra.
Yes.
And I was like, that's enough. We already saw that. Like, let's not see this over and over again. I think some of the situations were just a little, the pacing was weird. This is like, okay, here's our little cheesy moment with the dad and the doctor. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That's done. Let's move on to something else. But with that being said, I think the acting was pretty cool. But Godzilla looked great. I love seeing those action sequences and just him going. But they showed way too much in the trailer. All the cool scenes were in the trailer.
It was weird because I didn't understand why Millie Bobby Brown, when the first time they come across Kyle Chandler, like
Yeah.
she's so reluctant to go with him.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, and then Vera Farmiga's character is like, Madison.
Yeah.
And are we what? I'm confused. Go.
Yeah.
I don't. And then she's like the bad guy, but then she's not. And I'm like, you're a monster. Like that. Okay.
Yeah, I felt like she needed to die because she needed to, like, her hubris needed to be,
That's
taken
crap.
care of.
No.
Yeah.
No, that was dumb. Okay, why was Millie Bobby Brown's character not breathing in the bathtub? There was no water around her. She was like, like what? What happened? I don't get it.
The concussive force of the explosion. I don't know. That seemed weird to me as well too.
Oh, and I know some people had some problems with that one character dying, and they're like, did she really die? She was in Shape of Water.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
she gets when she
Yeah.
gets stomped on
Yeah, I was like, no, I got that.
because they showed the screen where it says deceased.
You're
That
like,
was
okay.
Yeah, just to remind you, like, yep, she didn't make it out of here.
Yeah.
Are you excited though about King Kong versus Godzilla?
Yeah. Yeah, because I love the monsters. That was great. I didn't like the close-up shots of Mothra. I was like, ew, no. But like, she's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this one really sets apart the building mythology that there are these creatures that were here before us.
Yeah.
Some are here to protect us. Some are here to kind of thin the herd.
Oh my!
So-
And like the sounds that all of them made, that was great. And the music, oh yeah, that was cool. The monster stuff was fun.
All right. Well, look at that, folks. We're going to call it right now for another hot episode of Box Office Breakdown. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us as we took a little hiatus for the Memorial Day weekend. But we'll be back next week for sure to really talk about Amy Cassandra's $29 million bet for Dark Phoenix. That's
I
going to
forgot
be
that
good
happened.
stuff. I did not.
I blocked that from my mind.
I did not forget
Alright,
that.
we should.
Folks, we'll see you back here next week. Go see some movies.
Stay home.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.